So today I want to tell you how to make sensitivity your superpower. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about mental health, well-being, resilience, and how to thrive in this world as a sensitive person. If that feels like that might be something of benefit to you, then please make sure that you have subscribed and you've turned on the notifications so you know each and every time I post a new video. So today I want to talk about sensitivity, how it absolutely can be your superpower, and how I've made it the superpower that it is in my life today. I want to be really clear that I've gone from somebody who, for me, sensitivity was like the bane of my life, okay? It kept me in darkness. I struggled so much with being too sensitive. I didn't know how to deal with those feelings and how to process them, and I wished more than anything that my sensitivity would just go away. I thought that it would always be the thing that kept me down. I thought it would always be the thing that would remain central to my life but being a huge problem for me. But I can tell you without question that has absolutely changed for me, and I want to give you the 6 things that have absolutely changed my life. Well, it's 5 things with a bonus at the end, but the one thing that I think runs through all of them. So make sure that you stick around for that one at the end as well. So the first one that I want to talk about is self-awareness. Now, this one is huge. It's the one that enables us to do the rest of the things. But for a long time in my life with my sensitivity, I had to literally spend some time noticing, right? And I'm talking about literally removing all of the judgment, removing that self-judgment, removing the shame, and literally just noticing what was going on in my life and what I was experiencing, noticing where the sensitivity showed up, noticing when I struggled with it, noticing when it became a good thing for me, when I was able to use it to my advantage, and literally take a step back without trying to do any work around it, not trying to fix or change it, but just noticing and understanding it. And I still go through that process a lot, okay? On a daily basis, I recognize, I step back, okay, let me see why this is happening, let me see why it's showing up. And that self-awareness is the breeding ground on which everything else can be born, and it has to be the starting point for me in making my sensitivity my superpower. The second thing that I want you to look at is noticing your triggers. So it's really been important for me to understand the things that trigger me, the things that make my sensitivity send me quickly into overwhelm. More than just noticing where I'm triggered, is finding out and understanding why I'm triggered and how I move through those triggers. Yeah. So for me, healing and becoming stronger and making sensitivity my superpower has been not just about noticing those triggers, but understanding them and working through them so that they don't control my life. Avoiding triggers is not the way that we want to go, although that can be useful. It's about understanding them and finding why they exist and how I can move through them. A lot of people will resonate with trying to create a world that doesn't trigger them, and actually that in itself becomes one big major trigger. So we need to understand them, right? Understand why they send us into overwhelm and how we can move through that. Let me give you an obvious example. For me, I've always been terrified of confrontation. When I'm triggered by the fear of confrontation or by confrontation itself, I would go into that fight mode. I would get angry. I would further increase the confrontation that I was involved in. That would heighten my sensitivity, and it caused me huge problems throughout my life. In the times when I was drinking and acting the ways that I did, I got myself in trouble in that sense. And then as I moved away from alcohol and stuff like that, I found myself in these overwhelmed states a lot and not knowing what to do. So if I can catch them earlier, understand what they are, then I have huge opportunity to create that change. The third thing is learning how you recharge. Now, with the mental health conversation in the way that it is at the moment, the narrative is nearly always pushed that you need to be around people, don't isolate, don't be alone, and all that kind of stuff. I understand that, but for me, I do my recharging on my own. And that might not be the same for you, but I do believe if you are a sensitive person, then it is likely that you will want to recharge on your own. So make sure that you have that built into your life regularly on a daily basis, and that you know that at any given moment, you may need to retreat into that. And that may happen in difficult moments too. You may be at a social event when you feel that overwhelm, need to put yourself first and come away from the social event. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it takes courage to do that. And as you learn to do that more and more, you start to become okay with it. I found myself now I used to think, oh, why am I so boring? Why am I leaving places early? But now I just realized I've had the fun that I'm going to have in that situation, and now I'm going to retreat. Yeah, I love being around people until I don't, and then I hate being around people and I need to be completely alone. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just who I am. Accepting that, understanding it, and learning from it has been vital for me. And that kind of leads into the fourth point that I want to give you as well, and that is sorting your circle out. The people that want to mock you for the things that you have to do for your sensitivity, the people that don't want to accept it, the people that think that you should change or that you need to change, get them out. Get rid of them. You don't need them in your life. One of the greatest learnings I've had is that I don't need a massive social circle. In fact, a much smaller handful of people that accept me in my full range of human experience, my full range of who I am, it's a much better circle for me. So can you do that with your circle? Now, I understand that for a lot of people, the people that they might need to remove from their circle are family, and that can be a lot more difficult for you. I appreciate that. Can you reduce the time with them if it feels like too much of a stretch to cut them out? Yeah. Can you build in some boundaries? Look, this is the time that I need on my own now. Start putting them down. As you build those boundaries down early, they are going to cause problems. It's going to be difficult. People are going to push back against that, right? And they're going to try and make you feel bad for doing it. Remember why you're doing it. Yeah, and then as you do it, and the more that you do it, and the more that you learn about creating the proper circle for you, the more you realize how beneficial it is, and it does become easier. So the final point, the final of the 5, is the daily routine. I do believe as a sensitive person, I need a routine every single day that is of healing nature based around my sensitivity. So I talked about that alone time is how I recharge. So I have to have that in my life daily, every day, morning and evening, and I make sure that I build them in, and it's as important as brushing my teeth in the morning. Yeah, I make sure that I do it. I create that space. It's there. It's of healing nature, and it helps me to progress and learn about my sensitivity, understand the narratives that are going on in my head, but more importantly than anything else, gives me the space in my life to do the recharge work that I need to do in order to be able to go out there. And finally, the bonus that I talked about is self-compassion. It's knowing that despite everything that I've told you, I still get all of this wrong. And there's some days when sensitivity doesn't feel like my superpower. It feels like it used to, which is like the worst thing in the world for me. That's always going to happen. It's always going to come. We always need those. They're the times when I do the reset, the recharge, right? That's fine. We need self-compassion in those moments. But I can tell you now that there's huge benefit from my sensitivity. The work that I'm able to do in my life today is born and structured around my sensitivity, knowing the subtleties in people, being able to question myself in the way that I do. The self-awareness work that I do, that I talked about in the first point, becomes huge because of the subtleties that I notice and recognize because of my sensitivity. And that can be true for you today. If you feel like sensitivity is the bane of your life, if you implement some of the things that I've just been talking about, I promise you that you can move towards sensitivity becoming your superpower.